Hey, you know that Blade movie that was announced in 2019? That Blade movie that's going to star Mahershala Ali, the two-time Oscar winner. That Blade movie that in January of 2026 still doesn't have a director attached to it, still doesn't have a working script attached to it. You know that Blade movie that's now 6.5 years old since its announcement? That Blade movie, well, guess what? That Blade movie still isn't happening. What, are we meant to be shocked? Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. I know, I can't believe we're still talking about this, and it kind of feels redundant in one sense, but in another sense, it's actually rather funny, because this whole Blade movie fiasco, and believe you me, it is a fiasco, particularly when you just look at the basics. Number one, they want to make a Blade movie. A vampire hunting vampires. It's not rocket science. Then you've got Mahershala Ali. Let's just call him Hershey Bar. That works for me. We've got Hershey Bar attached to the project. Two-time Oscar winner. Absolutely fantastic actor. You know, I saw it in House of Cards. He was great as well. You've got him attached as Blade. What casting? Brilliant casting. 6.5 years later, since it was announced, you still don't have a script. You still don't have a director. And yet somehow Hershey Bar's still attached to the project. Now, if I was him, I would have dipped years ago. But maybe, because it is technically in pre-production, maybe he's just getting paid for all the time that it's in this pre-production period. So to him, it just might be some passive income, which is coming in on the reg, you know? But it's so bizarre because the film itself has, I think, currently had 3 rejected scripts, 3 directors that were attached and have left. And the reason why it hasn't been made, and this isn't silliness and this isn't hyperbole or being facetious, but the reason why this film hasn't been made is that Marvel don't know how to ram their current day politics, their identity politics, and more importantly, the MCU into this film. Because iterations of the script had 3 women in the movie, including Blade's daughter, who was meant to be taking over from Blade. Oh, that old trope again. And there were meant to be 3 women to Blade, because if you've got one male, you've got to surround them by females in an effort to justify that the lead character, who won't be the lead character because all the females will girl boss and dominate all the proceedings, would be there to balance the books. They looked at different things like setting it in the past. Sinners. There's a good chance that Sinners is actually the reworked Blade script from the past. Just saying, there's some legitimacy in there. But of course, they just couldn't seem to get rid of the fact that how can we balance this masculine alpha character, violent, but more importantly, male? How can we fit the women in? How can we make the women not just fit in, but be the dominant position? So 6.5 years later, they can't even do the most simple thing imaginable, which is make a movie about a vampire hunting vampires. It's mental. Now, this still doesn't stop people from clutching at straws, and my goodness me, straws, they are being clutched to. Blade MCU movie gets positive update despite cancellation rumor. Now, I've said this from pretty much the get-go. When it was announced in 2019, it didn't take me long to say that this movie's never going to get made. And every time we had an update, I would reiterate this movie's never going to get made. And then there'll be another update and another script, another director leave the project. And I would say, this movie's never going to get made. Well, guess what I'm going to predict, folks? I'm going to predict the same thing I've been predicting for over 6 years now. This movie is never going to get made. There may be hope for the Blade MCU movie after all. Not really, no. Marvel Studios originally announced that the Blade movie was in the works at the San Diego Comic-Con in July of 2019. Just in case anyone doesn't realize, that's the previous decade. At the time, it was also announced that Mahershala Ali, Hersheybar, my bad for getting that right first time, would play the titular character. 6.5 years later, the movie still has not come to fruition. No director is attached to the project at this time, and the film does not have a release date. This is also sounding very familiar indeed. It's actually coming up to 3 years in April that the Rey movie was announced with Charmaine Obaye-Chinoy attached to it. You know, the woman who said she likes to make men feel uncomfortable. The woman who doesn't have any movie experience in the slightest and is going to be handed over hundreds of millions of dollars allegedly to make the film, which most likely won't get made. And also a woman whose body of work just goes and operates around Muslim women documentaries and their struggles. How the fuck is that a qualification to direct a Star Wars movie? Disney and Lucasfilm, the pair of them, are absolute fucking idiots. Kathleen Kennedy is a moron, absolute imbecile, the worst head of a studio that will ever exist, probably in modern times. And here, we can't even get a bloody Blade movie made because they don't know where to stick the intersectional feminism in. How can we cuck Blade and yet still try to operate off of Blade? Fuck off, the lot of you. Yesterday, Jeff Snyder of the In Snyder said on an episode of Hot Mic that Blade is dead. Well, it is dead. It hasn't come to fruition in 6.5 bloody years. A dead person could tell you this is dead because a dead person could tell you it's lying right next to them. No film with a great actor gets announced 6.5 years ago and doesn't come to pass, and it's still a work in progress. We're not dealing with rocket science, we're dealing with a vampire hunting vampires. It's basic shit. What's stopping them is their pathetic politics, their pathetic ideology. That's the stumbling block. And I tell you what, you can fall on your faces all day, every bloody day. He explained, I'm hearing Blade is dead, and that is a Midnight Suns movie. He will not be introduced in a solo movie. He will be introduced in Midnight Suns. Now, at least it's been spelt correctly here. Remember when they made the video game Midnight Suns, but they didn't want to say Sons, S-O-N-S, because, oh my godsies, it was sexist. So they changed the name to Marvel's Midnight Suns, S-U-N-S. Well, how well did that game do when it came out? Not so good. If I just move myself to the top here, then you can see that it pretty much fell off a cliff since it came out, and now it's down to around about 700 odd people playing the game on average. 517 right now. All because Marvel didn't want to have S-O-N-S. That's the level of patheticness that we're dealing with. Scooper James Mack is now saying that the Blade movie is not actually cancelled. Mack wrote on TwitTwat, the In Snyder is acting crazy. Blade was definitely not cancelled. No, it's just been sat there with its thumb up its arse for 6.5 years. I'm sure we'll go to bed tonight, wake up in the morning, and there'll be a release date for it. There'll be a running time for it. And we'll have interviews with the cast and director and right. The movie's dead. It's been dead for years. It's never getting made. No further details are available at this time, given that the Blade movie does not have a release date from Marvel, doesn't have a fucking director, doesn't have a fucking script. Marvel, it seems safe to assume that it won't be coming out anytime soon. Hold the fucking presses. Sherlock Holmes is writing this article. If at all correct, it's never coming out. Having said that, there has been no formal announcement about a Midnight Suns movie as of yet either. There have, however, been plenty of rumors suggesting that a Midnight Suns project is in development, with some believing that it will be an adaptation of the Damnation limited series. Adaptation, whatever. They don't resemble the comics in the slightest, which features Mephisto as the main antagonist. So we're going to get Sacha Baron Cohen back in as he's flicking Ironheart's soul. So far, Ali's only MCU credit is a voice cameo in the post-credit scene of Eternals, which is correct. 6.5 years, and he's just said a line or two of dialogue at the end of Eternals in a post-credit scene. You don't even see him. You just hear him. How'd you fumble that so badly? Oh, yeah, of course. You become Disney Marvel or you become Disney Star Wars. There's a name which seems to perceive Disney. Disney. The death of movies right now. Hey, guess what, folks? You know that Blade movie? Well, it still ain't getting made. I'll see you in the next video. You take care. Goodbye, Belubo.